Manuel Antonio Javier Teehankee as permanent representative of the Republic of the Philippines to the World Trade Organization in Geneva, Switzerland. Kindly take your seat, Ambassador. The Chair would like to remind the body that the quorum established last hearing remains. Majority Leader.
Yes, that's true, Mr. Chairperson. I'd like to report the status of our parliamentary status with regards to the nomination of Ambassador Teehankee. May I do so, Mr. Chair?
Please proceed.
In our last meeting, Senator Risa Ontiveros informed the committee that she is in receipt of a letter dated 19 February from the Geneva Forum for Philippine Concerns, signed by their chairperson, Mr. Joseph Sisip, expressing the migrant NGO's concern on the ambassador's nomination as permanent representative to the WTO in Geneva, Switzerland. In the said letter, Mr. Sisip mentioned that the subject nominee allegedly exploited the rights of a Filipino migrant worker when he first served as an ambassador to the WTO way back in 2005. Ambassador Teehankee did acknowledge his fault and regretted the unfortunate misunderstanding and mistake relating to the level of required wages. He emphasized that there was no harm intended and that all wages due to the Filipino helper has been paid and settled through a binding amicable settlement on October 2015. He added that the diplomatic immunity must never be used as a shield for any wrongdoing. Senator Ontiveros wanted to put on record her objection to the nomination of Ambassador Teehankee so that the members may seriously consider the contents of the letter. She then requested for an executive session. Senator Ontiveros then moved to defer the Commission's decision on Ambassador Teehankee's nomination, hence this resumption of our meeting. After the February 21 hearing, the Secretariat was in receipt of a letter from the Ugnayang Bayan, a federation of Filipino associations in Geneva, Switzerland, signed by its Vice President for External Affairs, Mrs. Joy Dagen, appealing to disapprove the appointment of Ambassador Teehankee, citing the same sentiments with the first group, the Geneva Forum for Philippine Concerns. That, Mr. Chairperson, is our parliamentary status as of now.
Thank you, Majority Leader. May we remind Attorney Teehankee that you are testifying under the same oath that you have previously taken. No? So, the nominee is now ready to respond to comments and questions from the members of the committee, if there are any.
Senator Risa is present, I think, Mr. Chair.
The Chair recognizes the presence of Senator Risa.
May I ask if there's any other oppositor present in today's hearing, Mr. Secretary? May opposition ba dyan? Wala.
You have written opposition, Your Honor, but
only a written opposition. There's
but
no...
the person is not yet
it's not present.
at
Okay.
the hall.
Any questions from the members? The nominee is ready to respond. Comments? Motion? Any motion? Yes, Senator Ontiveros.
Mr. Chair, if the Commission would accept, I would like to move and to request the Chair if we could hold one last caucus on the appointment of the good ambassador. Thank you. I so move, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So that's a motion to suspend the hearing?
One
Because there are no
last brief
comments
time,
or
Mr. Chair.
questions from
Yes,
other
Mr.
members.
Chair. Perhaps if it could be done now, Mr. Chair, it could also be completed quickly.
Okay, we can refer to room 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So are we going on to executive session? Is that our understanding?
That is the nature of my request, Mr. Chair, to go into a brief executive session. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Majority Leader.
Thank you. Any objection? No objection. The motion is approved. So the meeting is, or this hearing is suspended for a few minutes. We'll be back. Don't leave, Mr. Teehankee. We'll continue. This session is resumed. Senator Ontiveros is recognized for a manifestation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I consulted with the chair earlier and manifested to my colleagues here in the commission on appointments, until this moment, the oppositor, the Geneva Forum, is not withdrawing its opposition. And therefore, at least in solidarity with the issues that they have raised, if the commission had moved into secret balloting, then I would be obliged to vote no, with all due respect to the good ambassador. But at the very least, and I thank the chair for allowing me to do this, and I thank the colleagues in the commission for allowing me to do this, I am making of record that consistent solidarity that I wish to express with the Geneva Forum through this manifestation. Salamat po, Mr. Chair, at maraming salamat po sa
Salamat din
commission.
po, Senator Ontiveros. Majority Leader.
So I move to recommend, Mr. Chair, to the plenary for the commission to give its consent.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Senator Subiri is
I know I'm
recognized.
prolonging the agony of my good friend, Ambassador Teehankee, but just really quick, one quick question to the
You may proceed.
Ambassador. Ambassador, you know that we were in the thick of the fight against yung high fructose corn syrup and Philippine sugar. We passed a law now that, of course, we call it the healthy option, wherein sugar would be at a lower rate than high fructose corn syrup. I know you'll be in the thick of the fight. Can we get your assurance that you will help the sugar farmers in the fight? I know there's a law on WTO and free trade, but you will be in the front lines. Can we get the commitment from your side that you will insist on the law that we had just passed on sugary drinks?
Thank you, dear Senator Zubiri. As committed also at the last hearing with Congressman Sato, definitely the Department of Foreign Affairs and I as ambassador will have to follow the policy directives as passed by the laws of Congress and also the directives of the President as chief architect. And of course, I'm fully committed to upholding the paramount national interest. Thank you.
You have no further questions, Mr. President. I support the appointment of the
Thank you, Senator Subiri. Majority Leader.
Yes, so I move for the previous question to recommend to the plenary for the commission to give its consent to the appointment of Mr. Manuel Antonio Javier Teehankee as permanent representative of the Republic of the Philippines to the World Trade Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, with the salary and emoluments of a chief mission class 1 again.
Any objection? There's a motion duly seconded. Then the Committee on Foreign Affairs hereby recommends to the plenary for the Commission to give its consent to Attorney Manuel Antonio Javier Teehankee as the permanent representative of the Republic of the Philippines to the World Trade Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, with the salary and emoluments of a Chief of Mission Class 1. Congratulations.
Thank you, honorable members and chairs.
Mr. Chair, there being no other matters to discuss, I move that we adjourn your meeting.
This meeting is adjourned.